So you've completed the acquisition of GitHub. How have things changed at Microsoft since then?
Well, you know, it's interesting. Maybe not as much as you might think. So things have been changing at Microsoft for years. I think that's obvious. For us, my team is the Azure DevOps team. We own the DevOps tools that both we use internally and that customers use. But we started our transformation, our journey down this path in about 2010. It was very specific. It was our agile foundation, agile transformation to learn to actually move fast. The fact is, at that point, Microsoft, a very successful company, doing a great job at delivering box products every 2 to 3 years, was fantastic. But guess what? At 2010, developers said, if you're going to make me wait 2 years, it's not going to happen, and we knew that. So we had to figure out how to deliver much faster. Agile, makes sense. And that was the foundation for what became our DevOps journey, which of course we're still on. Now, that's why it's not as big a change, because right now we're already deploying at Microsoft about 82,000 times a day. And we have about 100,000 users internally on our DevOps platform following similar practices. My team kind of led the way in a lot of ways because we were part of the developer group that had to cater to developers, which were a little more bleeding edge. But now, again, it's a big deal at Microsoft. So that gave us a head start. The GitHub acquisition was something, regardless of the acquisition, we were already doing. Regardless of whether we acquired GitHub, we had to track what they were doing and the kind of communities they were in. Now, in my team itself, my product area, Azure DevOps, there are definitely some things we did because of or tracking with GitHub from a product and a community perspective. Azure DevOps has launched some amount of rebranding last September. So if you do the math, the timeline, before that rebranding, before that launch, we announced the acquisition of GitHub, and afterwards, we actually acquired GitHub. Okay, and at that point, we were already well on our way. The product designs we did for Azure DevOps included best of breed models that we see at GitHub. The idea that we have these things that you can plug together whatever you need. So in our thing, we had a very solid integrated platform. Now it becomes very, use the pieces you want, don't use the pieces you don't want, plug in other pieces. So it's very common for us to see people using our Azure Boards technologies with GitHub, for example, with Azure pipelines, deploying to, well, hopefully Azure, maybe someplace else. Beyond that, there are a lot of other investments. From a GitHub perspective, we've done integration work with GitHub. We partner very closely with them. We've adopted or enabled the use of their identity system with our Azure platform. So a lot of things there. And in fact, even GitHub has added some things that work well with us.
Okay, and does that mean you're trying to change the direction for GitHub or folding them into Microsoft?
Oh, no, thank you. No, our management has made it very clear that would be a very bad thing to do. GitHub is owned by Microsoft, but they are very much self-run. Nat Friedman is the CEO. He transitioned from the open source space, Xamarin, into Microsoft. Now he's back out doing the stuff he loves, supporting the open source community. And I think that's worked very well. We are, like I said, partnering very closely. GitHub has tons of partners. We're one of them. We have tons of partners. GitHub is one of ours. So GitHub is doing what they need to be successful, and that's what we want. I will also say it's interesting that after the acquisition, so kind of getting to your original question, I've seen a lot of things change at GitHub. I think that until the acquisition, they weren't 100% sure what they needed to do. Right now, they've been delivering lots of value, taking care of lots of customer needs very quickly. And as a user, I love it. I can see them evolving and serving their customer base much better. So I think it's a really good thing.
Okay, so it sounds like you're maintaining two different companies that both have competing products supporting DevOps. Is that an issue?
Well, competing. I guess in some ways they're competing. I don't know if I'd look at it that way. In some ways they're complementary. Again, best of breed, the ability to use their products and our products together. We love that. Or whatever it is that the customer needs. We came from different backgrounds. We have different audiences that are drawn to us. And as a result, we can deliver some amount of overlap, but do it in different ways. So whatever's good for the customer. So I mean, a little competition's good. And the fact is, I think this is great for us and great for customers.
And what about your predictions for the next year?
So if I were to look forward, I'd say the only thing constant, as you know, is change. I think we're going to have a lot of change continuing. In terms of specifics, I know in our area we continue to invest heavily in the container space, Kubernetes. I expect a lot of evolution there. And I'm not 100% sure, but I expect we're going to continue to see great things out of GitHub, and I know we're continuing to move fast, and I think it's going to be a great year for DevOps.
Great. Thank you. Thanks so much for your insights today.
Thank you.